Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What's the news today? Have a drink, have your say. All opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Webby, GA, and Matt are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Good evening and welcome to the Speedway Tavern. A bit of a unplanned start. We won't name names, shall we? But it's been a tough few days for British Speedway. Obviously, issues with the track at Sheffield last night, saving Wolverhampton from what would have been a Wolverhampton select from possibly a big defeat. But the positive news: Great Britain are through to the World Cup final, only in Speedway.
That's probably the best introduction we've ever I've probably ever had.
I've not done one of them for about 10, 15 years as well, so...
Oh, it's fantastic. Well done.
Shall I get my coat?
Yeah, go on.
Who said that?
The light covering the...
Oh, yeah. I'll leave him over there. Hi, Mike. Nice for you to join us.
Well, I'm here, aren't
Yeah.
I?
You are. You're just about. Okay.
Well, sort of. So.
Yeah.
So, lots of things to talk about.
Indeed, yes.
Tell me all about last night.
What would have been a pretty shambolic meeting, I think, was probably spared from a lot of people. Sheffield obviously having a lot of problems getting their fixtures in.
Mm-hmm.
Only one date available to them that was last night, and of course, as we know, during a World Cup week, although we haven't had a World Cup for 6 years, they don't generally have top flight matches on. But Wolves obviously were going to be riding at Sheffield last night. Rory Sline's obviously injured. He got injured at Oxford last week. Obviously, we send our best wishes to him. But the likes of Steve Worrell, Sam Masters all had pre-arranged weeks away during this week, of course, with the idea that there was no meeting, because there was no meeting scheduled at Monmouth.
Because of the Speedway
World Cup, but obviously Sheffield's problems meant that this was the only free date they could. So Wolves would have ended up having to go there with a team that included Chris Harris, Stefan Nielsen, Danny King. In short, really only two bona fide Wolves riders would have been riding in the team, or even possibly even three, in the form of Ryan Douglas and the two reserves, Cook and Flint. But the weather intervened and pretty much saved what would have been a pretty embarrassing evening. I think all round it would have been, not a proper Wolves team. I don't think it would have been a particularly much of a crowd at Sheffield either. But of course, it does leave Sheffield now with the problem that they really are fast running out of dates up at Darlington to get their fixtures in before the cut off at the end of next month.
Yeah, again,
just planning, isn't it? We have weeks and weeks and weeks where there's no fixtures, and yet here we are having to scramble around desperately trying to get dates in. I suppose the caveat really now is that when this date is put in, people are going to turn around and say, well, why couldn't that fixture have been put in then, even if it's one thing that I hate more than anything else in Speedway, the dreaded double headers. That may well be forced on Sheffield at the way things are going. Whether they're able to put double headers on, I don't know. But it's something that's going to have to be looked at. And of course, as I say, the way that the fixtures has fallen this season, of course, the regular league fixtures have to be finished before the end of August. Because obviously, with all the issues they had last year with the season running on into November, they're desperately trying to avoid that by starting all the big major meetings in September.
I have no words.
It's all doom and gloom, isn't it? Really, in the Speedway world.
It's not doom and gloom.
Once again,
it's not doom and gloom.
Oh, yes,
but it's stupidity.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand how every other sport can get their fixtures in, but we can't. And I think back to the 70s and 80s when we had 20-25 teams in a league.
Yep.
We've never had any troubles getting our fixtures in.
Admittedly, in those days you didn't have playoffs and things like that. So
and also they would run in the rain a bit more.
Just a bit, yes.
Yeah. So.
But as I say, the big positive, obviously, is Britain are now through to the World Cup final after a good, strong performance today in Wrocław in the opening day of the Speedway World Cup.
Did you manage to catch any of it?
Unfortunately, I haven't, no. I'm going to be watching it there. That meeting has now just finished, so Britain finishing top with 43 points. Tyler Woofington scoring 10 from 4, Dan Bewley 14 from 5, Robert Lambert 13 from 5, Adam Ellis 4 from 5, and Tom Brendan getting a ride at reserve. He scored second place in that one. Second place is Sweden on 32, Freddie Lindgren 12, Jakob Torsell 8, Antonio Lindback 6, Oliver Berntsson 5, and Kim Nielsen 1. Third place were the Czechs, Jankovic 10, Heinrich Stakar 0, Peter Slovak 1, Daniel Kilmer 1, and Vaclav Milic, the reserve, scoring 11 points. And in fourth place were the Germans on 22, Kai Huggenbeck 11, Kevin Volbert 7, Norit Bladorn 1, Martin Smolinski 1, and Eric Riss 2. So good.
Good showing.
I think to be fair, we were probably always going to be the warm favourites, if you like, for that fixture. The big threat was obviously going to be from the Swedes, although maybe not quite the force that they have been in years gone by.
And they got a good 1 and 2, and then it sort of falls
away a little bit.
Away. But even so, I mean, that's a good score.
It's a very strong performance. That's going to lay down a marker to the rest of the pack, I think, in the competition. Of course, we've got the next one coming up on the 26th, so that's tomorrow again at Wrocław. And of course, that one will feature Finland, France, Denmark, and Australia.
Who's your money on?
I would say probably Australia. I mean, I don't think you can ever rule the Danes out. It's going to be one of them too. I think with the best will in the world, the Finns and the French in particular are going to find the going tough at that level. Australia, of course, you never rule Australia out in team speedway because they've got a way of always coming together, haven't they?
Bit like America used to be.
Yeah, I think so. That sort of national spirit, isn't it, with the Americans had? I think the Australians are very, very similar. And yeah, I think you'd probably it's going to be a tight one, I think, but I would probably just go with Australia. Let's have a look at the two sides that are going to be lining up. So for the Aussies, you've got Max Frick, Jack Holder, Jason Doyle, Jarman Lidsey, and Chris Holder, and for Denmark, Mikkel Mikkelsen, Nicky Pedersen, Anders Thompson, Leon Madsen, and Rasmus Jensen. Nicky Pedersen obviously picking himself, of course, when he's actually the team manager as well. I'm not 100% sure about that one, to be fair. Although I suppose he's got to, if his form's good, then he's got to back himself in there too.
I imagine there are some people in Peterborough that, yeah,
just a bit, yeah. But let's hear what you guys all think. Let's get your comments up on the.
So I have to ask you the question. Have you seen the Ty Woffington video?
I have seen the Ty Woffington video. Yes.
Thoughts?
Difficult one really to judge, isn't it? Was he in the right? Was he in the wrong? I mean, obviously the supporters shouldn't have you've got to ask questions of the security as to how the supporters have managed to get that far. We have seen sportsmen tackle pitch invaders or whatever before, but I think the thing that would concern me really with Ty was the fact that he sort of came in from behind, so he wouldn't have had much of a clue what was happening.
Took his legs away.
Took his legs out, and I did read somewhere that there was some talk that the supporter had ended up with a broken arm, although I did see a video of him afterwards still waving his flag around. I don't think you would have been able to do that with a broken arm. But
no, I believe he's injured his arm was what I heard. But yeah, I mean, I think is it Rocklaw?
It was Roslav. It was Roslav against Lesnar.
They issued a statement which the translation seems to say it was a very not a great translation that I read, but seems to say that Roslaw are saying that he made a citizen's arrest.
Citizen's arrest.
However, if I ever saw a cop make make an arrest like that,
you wouldn't want to see him do that, would you?
It's assault, isn't it?
It is really. I mean, if you did that on the street, I think you'd. My gut feeling really is that Ty will just probably get a big smack on the wrist, told you're a silly boy and don't do it again. But he could. He's in some ways you could argue he's quite lucky because especially if the supporter is injured, then you could argue has he got the right to sort of press charges against him for it. So it was a bit of a shock. It certainly wasn't. I mean, I think it's fair to say the Speedo supporters in Poland are totally different to supporters in this country. There's more of a them v us attitude in Poland. Polish fans don't go to watch Speedo; they go to watch their team win, and they get very upset when their team don't win.
It's a football type mentality.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't get that on a British Speedway track. To be fair.
Well, there's a few comments about the Speedway World Cup.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we can go through. Worrell not being away, rode Friday at Glasgow, travelled to Latvia Saturday, rode in Latvia Sunday, back to UK Monday. Why couldn't he ride then? Because he is riding for Paul Wednesday, so he had a one-day holiday today. Is it the weather more like rider availability? Shambles, Ellis Poor, the weak link, I'm afraid. Sheffield double header. It's possible they got through 15 heats fairly quickly last Thursday against Bellevue with some fairly long track delays, but was all done and dusted by 2050. So I reckon if Sheffield have a 10 p.m. curfew, they can run a double header, no problem. Yeah, but you have to regrade the track between matches.
You've got to regrade the track, and it's always difficult, especially when you're the second team. You've got to stand around waiting for the first meeting to finish.
Surprise, I'm going to read this out as it says it. Surprise Chris Holder over Brady Kersey.
I was a little bit surprised about that one. Brady Kersey's had a really good season. He's come on in leaps and bounds, I think, for Bellevue this year. He's done well against a lot of riders that have. We've had some top riders that have come back to the UK this season. Maybe Chris Holder, with his experience, particularly on the big Polish tracks, was that's the reason that the Aussies have gone for it. Obviously, Mark Lemmon's the team manager of Australia and also the team manager of Bellevue, so he certainly knows Brady Kurtz very well.
Craig Smith says Adam Ellis getting a pick because he's a Sheffield rider. He's the weak link. I presume he means because it's a big track. He's the weak link on that team. Don't think he's had a particularly great season, really. Charles Wright should have got it, in my opinion, which is what we were saying last week. I hope Tom Brennan gets more rides tomorrow. Looked quick in his ride tonight.
I thought Charles Wright was very unlucky certainly not to be in the squad. I think he's had a really, really good season. He's a tough rider. I think he's got every right to be a little bit hard done by not to have got the pick. I've seen quite a few people who've said that maybe the Simon Stead getting the pick because of the fact that he's the Britain team manager or joint Britain team manager is Simon Stead, who's also his team manager at Sheffield.
Rich Thomas in this snowflake world, he'll get life for that. We're talking Poland. They're not quite so snowflake, I believe. Dylan says Adam Ellis doesn't deserve to be anywhere near this GB team. I'm not sure I agree totally with that, but
having been the squad boy, I can't. But I was rather surprised when I saw the confirmed lineup and saw that. I've got nothing against Adam Ellis. He's a very good rider. I don't think he's had a brilliant season for Sheffield this season. So I was, again, as a few people have said, I was a bit surprised that he got the pick.
And Deepak Yadav Chandan Kumar says key.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have that could mean anything.
Now, before we go any further, we should say a big thank you to everybody that
my
joined
God,
last
yeah.
week.
Yeah.
That was, you don't know what it finished on.
What
do
did
you?
it finish on?
It finished on 16,700 people.
So we had 16,700 people watch that show last night, and
That's
I mean,
good,
that's just mad.
That's crazy. I don't know whether Mars is in conjunction with Uranus or
Leave my-
nowhere near Uranus, but that was quite incredible.
So thank you everybody
Yeah,
for
thanks.
that. That's
If I don't know that
we
many
are
people were going to be listening, we'd have been.
we are without a doubt the most successful podcast,
Probably.
Speedway podcast. I don't think there's any doubt, is there, with that?
Yeah.
That week
Jeff
anyway.
Jeff Daniels says the reports I have is the fan is going to sue Woofington. Time will tell on that. Also, security were all around when Woofington attacked the fan while he was only dancing with a scarf. Hardly dangerous. I mean, to be fair, a lot of Ty's teammates were around him as well, and they were just
They were
ignoring
laughing.
him. And I think in fairness to Ty, I think he has in the past been prone to sort of maybe acting before he thought a little bit at times. I certainly remember the Cardiff Grand Prix when he decided to just swear in the microphone into the stadium, which wasn't the brightest thing he'd done. But it was. I was quite perplexed and surprised when I saw it. It certainly wasn't the sort of thing you expect. It's got people talking, which I suppose in the old saying, no, all publicity, whether good or bad, is good. But
Yeah, who knows? Well, I did have to watch it. Brian Buck says, let's hear you lot sing happy birthday to Lawrence
course,
Rogers.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
I don't think so.
No.
Happy birthday,
happy
Lawrence.
birthday, Lawrence. Man who works tirelessly at Birmingham and doesn't really get the appreciation he deserves, I don't think, and I'm sure you'll sort of
Yeah,
be
I
back
agree.
up on that one.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Oh, sorry.
You okay?
I was looking for a happy birthday or a scream or anything,
And that popped up.
that came up.
Wow,
Sorry.
okay.
Sorry.
So, right, this is where we come to that point in the show where we talk about the matches that we've seen this week.
Yeah. Well, I've only seen one match. Obviously, you're saying the same number of matches that you've seen.
Yeah.
And it was, really over after 6 seats, wasn't it?
It was over
Well,
after three.
Over after two, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was always going to be a tough ask for Birmingham to get the better report, but they just.
It was a capitulation.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Stuart Dixon was. You could tell from the interviews that Stuart Dixon has done since he was wasn't happy at all with some of his riders. I just think there just seemed to be so little belief that they could even lay a glove on Paul, to be honest. And I mean, Paul are a good side, but they really wanted to decanter. They weren't even tested, were they, last week?
Not at all.
It was disappointing. It was disappointing, and certainly I think a lot of talk going into the meeting that it was such a big challenge, and I think the defeat with Glasgow, albeit in controversial circumstances, Birmingham had a go in that one, and really just in the end ran out of steam, and Glasgow sort of ran away with it and got what I think was probably a bit of a flattering scoreline. They deserved to win the match, don't get me wrong, but the scoreline was wasn't really a true reflection on the effort that Birmingham had put into sort of.
And it was an
keeping
entertaining meeting as well.
But last week was just completely the opposite. It was a really flat performance from Birmingham right from start to finish. And as I say, the moment Birmingham went to conceded 2 5-1s in the first two heats, there was never going to be any way back.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just watching what's going on.
I'm just deleting that. I'm not sure.
It was. Yeah, I mean, to hear Nixon at the end, he was saying, right, I'm looking for new riders. I'm looking for more point scorers. I mean, that's damning just that in itself.
Yeah.
Big
disappointment really was Danny King, wasn't it? Because I think him coming in, I think everybody thought he's going to be, really up for it. Ex-Birmingham rider, always rides well here. But again, 5-1 twice in his first two heats. came good towards the end of the meeting, and give him his due. Of course, he did. Obviously, won heat 13 and did come round. It would have been quite easy for him to have just sloped off back to the pits, but I'll give him a lot of credit for that. I think the other probably one positive really was after finishing last in his first race, Stefan Nielsen unbeaten in his last two. Put a lot of effort into winning that.
Yes, he did,
the race
yeah.
under a lot of pressure as well. They were really all over his back wheel, weren't they? But
he was and also Alfie Botel again. Slow start, but then he found his.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there was something wrong with his bike in that first heat. I'm not, no inside information on that. It's just what it felt like. Yeah. I mean, we're at Poole tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
And
we are actually sending a coach down.
What sort of numbers are going down? I think it's
I don't know what the size of the coach is, but I believe it's full.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we've heard who the guest is going to be as well.
I don't think it'll be. It may be announced. I haven't seen any announcements yet. But
Do you think that the whole Nick Morris thing was a bit of a delayed reaction to that as well?
I think so. I think there's been a lot of positivity at the club with that win over Berwick. I mean, it seems ages ago now, doesn't it, that meeting? But the positivity that this could be the catalyst for having a much better second half of the season, and I think really that's just sort of knocked the stuffing out of a lot of people. There wasn't really much time to react to it on the night against Glasgow, because it was literally about 10-15 minutes before the meeting started, so it was sort of still raw a little bit, but it sunk in, I think, with the Poole meeting, and that was I think that I don't think you can use that as an excuse, to be fair. It was, I don't think there should have been
more pride.
There should have been more than enough
pride
from Birmingham to maybe not win the meeting, but at least make Paul work for it a little bit harder, and I don't think they really did, to be honest.
And the weird thing is that we could still make the playoffs. We've won 2 meetings all season, but we could still make the playoffs.
Yeah,
Which shows how bad the bottom.
The next home meeting,
is.
of course, is against Plymouth, and that's going to be massive, isn't it? Because Plymouth are in problems themselves, aren't they? Real struggle of the season for them so far. I think that's a meeting that Birmingham simply have to win.
Absolutely.
There's going to be no excuses, I don't think, in that meeting.
But it brings up the question that, which as a Bromley supporter I probably shouldn't ask, but is there any point getting to the playoffs and then getting tanked? Because if we get to the playoffs, we'll be in the last position.
Yep.
So we'll end.
Whoever finishes top will say, "Oh, we'll go to Birmingham."
Exactly. So that's going to be Paul, probably.
So Brian Ricketts, Rory Sline is guesting for Birmingham tomorrow at Paul, I believe. Yep.
Right, yes, that's been confirmed. So if you want to take the comments back up a little bit higher, there was a few comments going on there. Okay.
Do you want to talk about
go a little bit.
the one more thing?
Yeah, we'll go a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so this is talking about the Ty Woffingen thing. I've seen the video. The fan is encroaching in a restricted area. It's a criminal offence to do that. He didn't particularly look a threat, but it's a security breach nonetheless. Woffington really shouldn't have got involved, but security weren't exactly quick to apprehend the fan either. Okay.
Well, you shouldn't really say it, but I suppose the other argument is you don't really know what the fan's intentions were, do you? Because he might have had something on him.
No, but his intentions seem to be going no, essentially.
How was he going?
No. So, Simon's a question for you. Are the Greyhounds moving to Dunstable Park?
I have no idea. A lot of people, obviously I said last week that I knew some things, and quite a few people have been, that was obviously broke literally just a few hours after the show, and quite a few people have been asking me, was that what you know? That wasn't what I know. I knew nothing about that until I spoke to somebody on Wednesday morning. I think there's a lot of things going around at the moment about the whole situation with Entain and Ladbrokes and what their future plans are, whether that involves closing Monmouth Green, whether it involves opening this new site on Dunstable Park and closing Monmouth Green down as a I think the story I've read is that it's sort of a joint thing between the people that own Perry Bar as well, and that maybe the Perry Bar operation is what's going to move to Dunstall Park. Although I don't quite see why you would have two greyhound tracks in one city.
That was certainly a rumour that was floating around last Wednesday.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Graham Oldfield, I guess, talking about the Sheffield situation. We have heard it all before. 3 weeks without a meeting and run it in October.
Oxford have got one meeting in August. Now, August, for me, you should always be having meetings every week in August because it's prime time. The kids are on summer holidays.
Exactly. Craig Smith, what's the thoughts on horses potentially going to Monmore? Would certainly end any hope of a couple more years whilst they find a new home potentially.
Horses?
Well, everybody's nonplussed on that one, so...
I haven't heard anything about horses, to be fair.
Can't be big enough, can it?
I don't think we're going to know anything about this until the end of the season, to be honest. I think it'll probably sort of, strung out and then on and to see what happens. Not really more I can say on that, to be honest, at the moment. So I don't really want to... I can't break any confidence of anything that I've been told, so...
Yeah. Jeff Daniels says Danny King has been poor all season, in his opinion.
Hasn't had a great season, has he? He hasn't really been great for Redcar. In fact, Redcar have been a bit of a surprise to me because I tipped them to be the favourites to win the championship at the start of the season. They haven't quite really got it going, have they?
No.
In fairness, we'll have a look at the league table shortly, actually, and just have a
yeah.
bit of a...
Simon Corbett says they went to Perry Bar, surprised how poor the crowd was. Less said about Sedgman and follow them round.
Well, there was quite a few Pool fans that came up, to be fair, which sort of boosted the numbers a little bit. There was obviously there was a lot of people inside as well. That's the one thing that people tend to forget about Perry Bar, is that I think quite a lot of people do watch inside because the viewing outside of Perry Bar is not
good, yeah.
really great. Cause
And
it's
inside,
too
it's second to none.
yeah.
It's good inside, yeah.
Lawrence says Birmingham have meetings in August on the 2nd, the 9th, the 16th, 23rd, with the 30th reserved.
Well, that's what you need.
That's what we need, yeah.
You need meetings in August. I think it's a no-brainer. That's when you're... When I was growing up, they were the meetings that I used to go to, with the meetings in August, because there was no school the next day. So.
And Peterborough are going to have some meetings because they've got 8 home meetings to fulfil before the end of the August deadline. Good luck with that. Possible double headers, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be, isn't it?
Yeah. I believe we've caught up with the comments.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the league table. Start off with the Premiership. Bellevue, 35 points from 20. Leicester, 27 from 14. Wolves, 24 from 15. Sheffield, 22 from 14. Ipswich, 17 from 17. Kings Lynn, 7 from 15. And Peterborough, 3 from 15. So, in terms of matches, fairly even apart from Bellevue. Bellevue obviously have had a few matches extra over everybody else, but that's quite a substantial lead that Bellevue have got already, and I think that top 4 at the moment looks to be taking shape. Ipswich 5 points adrift of that last spot that Sheffield currently hold. And it's
big surprise.
Yeah, well, a lot of people I've spoken to, quite a few people I've spoken to had said that they thought, outside of a strong top 2, that whether Ipswich had enough strength in depth to be able to maintain a challenge, and at the moment, really, it's proving to be the case. And Jason Doyle hasn't been in great form in recent weeks. I mean, Sheffield have lost Ipswich lost a superheat to Sheffield, didn't they, a few weeks ago, and that was principally one of the big advantages that Ipswich were supposed to have with having Doyle and Seifert as the top 2, that there would be a big advantage in the superheats, and that in that case that hasn't worked out. So, but at the moment, that top 4 is beginning to look like it's pretty much set in stone for the Premiership. Let's have a look at the Championship then. Oxford are top of the league at the moment on 22 from 10. Glasgow 14 from 7. Poole 13 from 7. Scunthorpe 12 from 10. Redcar 9 from 8. And Edinburgh now hold that last spot in the top 6 after their win at Berwick the other night. They're on 4 from 8. Birmingham 4 from 8. Berwick 2 from 7. And Plymouth 2 from 7 as well. So
it's looking like between us and Edinburgh for that.
I think
final
so.
Spot.
Berwick obviously a bit sort of falling away a little bit. Not really had that many home meetings, to be honest, Berwick, so that may be an issue they've got. Plymouth really are having a real tough time at the moment in terms of results there. Just that one win so far this season and 2 points. But Oxford, Glasgow, Poole, I think, and probably Scunthorpe as well, they look nailed on now for that, and probably Redcar as well. Redcar on 9 from 8, but that top 5 is looking pretty much like they're going to be in there, and it's just that last spot, which Birmingham still in the battle. I mean, we were obviously very critical of the performance last week, but they're still in with a chance of getting into the top 6, and that at the end of the day, if Birmingham do make the playoffs, I suppose after the last season and the season before, that's progress.
Yes,
to get into the top 6.
Well, that's what he's promised to give us this year, wasn't it? The playoffs again. So there's a few more comments popped up. So we'll. I'm really sorry. I've got some sort of frog in my throat, so I do apologise. Dylan says was really happy to see Steph get back to where he can be. Smart riding to run in mid-track and cut back to stop Zach passing. That was a great heat, to be fair. Friday's streaming event hosted by BSSC is postponed too, with the BSN taking the meeting over to stream. So remind everybody what that event is. That would be good. Lawrence Rogers, quite a few newcomers again last week at Perry Bar. Hopefully they stayed to the end this time, but they wouldn't have been impressed with it.
They certainly wouldn't have been.
Which is unfortunate. We're having a few problems on the
gremlins.
On the shout box at the moment.
It's somebody who's trying to spam us. But
Yeah. So
I'm on top of it.
Yeah, as the bishop said to the actress.
Frank Graham says Glasgow fans had that issue without a meeting last year. 7 weeks without a meeting from 5th of August, and then into the playoffs. No momentum going into the playoffs then, was there?
I mean, part of this is down to not having enough meetings. Yeah, there is not enough meetings. Ipswich ride the Stars 3 times. That will put them back in there.
Yeah,
good point. Got a point.
Just the good thing, I guess, really in that sense, is Kingsland have managed to resume their season, because I must admit I did have doubts as to whether they were going to be able to resume the season with some of the stories that were coming out of there. But at the moment, that they seem to sort of. Certainly, I think they're committed to finishing the season. What's going to happen in 2024 at Kingston is anybody's guess, really.
The BSSC at the Birmingham Speedway Supporters Club, by the way, were going to be doing an event at Goals, but it's now been postponed. Worth mentioning, the Supporters Club hosting a summer fete at the Tennis Court Pub on Saturday the 26th of August between 12 and 3 p.m. Consider it mentioned. I'm hoping to be there. That'll be fun.
Yep. Let's have a look at, just to finish off our random on the league tables, at the National League as well. Milden all top with 15 from 9, Bellevue Colts 14 from 10, Leicester 14 from 8, Oxford 13 from 8, Workington 9 from 7, Edinburgh 9 from 10, Kent 5 from 8, and the Berwick Bulls 2 from 10. And Mildenhall's been a bit of a success story so far this season, because I think at the end of last season they were grave doubts to whether they were going to be able to come to the tapes, and here they are going to last week in July, and they're sitting proud at the top of the National League table with a really good record so far. 15 points from their 9 matches. Obviously there's still a long way to go, and it's quite congested at the top of that table, isn't it? Bellevue and Leicester only a point behind, and Oxford 1 further point behind as well, so that's shaping up to be a bit of an interesting battle, the NDL. Fairy
stories can happen.
Yeah.
Simon says Peterborough's 8 fixtures are 7 league meetings and 1 knockout cup meeting versus Ipswich. And we'll just let you deal with that.
Yep.
I guess the knockout cup match will be declared, as they are a lot of points down after the first leg at Ipswich. Are they allowed to do that?
I think I've got it from you, haven't I? No, I think they do have to run the meeting, don't they? They've got to certainly stage.
I think there's some sort of fine or something if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in enough difficulties at getting into that. So,
Yep.
Right. Once again, we've caught up.
Okay. I mean, keep it coming. Shall we have a look then
At the prediction league.
Prediction league.
Do you really want to, Mike?
No,
You
I really don't. I know I've had a really good week.
Have you? Who's told you that?
You've had a good week. When was that?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll
I was being ironic.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
so
just getting
you're
further and further
24,
and further
yeah,
down.
yeah,
Yeah.
24. You're some,
Awful.
22 points behind me.
It must be catching what's going on at the Speedway. So Birmingham Speedway, I'm catching it. That's
No, it's just that you're not very good.
well, yeah.
We've got Gordon Gambrell top, Andrew Garner, Simon Corbett third, Rich Thomas, Duncan Pemberton, John Bard, Steve Morgan, Kev Lilly. 9 is Nick Matthews, and number 10, Brian Book. Where's you? Crikey, you're having a bad season
Not
for you.
mid-table mediocrity at the moment, unfortunately for me. So
That is bad for you. It really is. Oh, well,
still time though.
never mind.
But
You say that, but I'd be having a nosebleed if I was there.
Yeah, but it's look how close it is at the top though. You know, we've got joint leaders there, and then you've got Simon and Rich only a point behind them. So it's really shaping up to be quite tight.
I don't
this
care.
season. So, well, at the top it is, yeah.
I'm just so glad we had 50 quid on it.
What?
I'm sorry.
Right, okay, shall we get started
You're going to
then?
embarrass yourself even more now.
Okay, let's start off with the
I need
first
help.
match tomorrow. Oxford against Kent in the NDL.
Oxford versus Kent. And it's up to you, Matt.
I will go Oxford by 14.
I'll go Oxford by 16.
Oxford by 14.
Okay. Next up is Poole against Birmingham. Who's got that one?
Chris.
Oh, Paul versus Birmingham. I'll have to go Paul by 16.
I would bite your hand off for that.
I'll have a good
That would be a good result. I mean, that would really be a good result.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to say Paul by 30.
Wow. It's confidence for you.
I'm going to say the same thing. Maybe Stuart Dixon will have our two predictions on the dressing room wall.
I mean, I don't want to say that.
You just did.
It's just.
You can't look any other way, can you?
No, yeah.
That's terrible.
I suppose the way to look at it is Birmingham have got nothing to lose in that meeting, have they? So they need to sort of go for it. But I mean, they didn't go for it last week at home, so.
Dylan says Brum won't be as bad as you think. I don't reckon.
See, me and Dylan, we believe.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
only losing by 16.
I'm telling you now, if we lose by 16, I'm celebrating.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but I'll tell you for why. If we lose by 16, then we are in with a shout. We're good enough to make the playoffs.
It's
If we can go
ridiculous.
to Port and lose by 16, then actually we're much better than last week was showing. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say so, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Okay. Right, moving on. In the Premiership, Kings Lynn against Peterborough.
Kings Lynn against Peterborough, that's me, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, God, that's a difficult one, isn't it? I'm going to say Peterborough, given mind you, they haven't got Lawrence Rogers
Team managing,
managing for him. Do you know what? Let's go for a draw. Just one of these years, I'm going to get one of these.
You did get a draw a few weeks ago, actually.
Did
so,
I?
Yeah.
Ah.
So you can stop doing it now.
Okay.
You've made your point now. I'm going to go for Kings Lynn by 6.
I'll go
Interesting.
Kings Lynn by 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Then moving on to Friday in the Championship, Edinburgh against Berwick.
And that's up to you. Matt.
Edinburgh by 10.
Edinburgh by 12.
That's what I'm going for as well.
Copying me now because I'm that good.
Okay. Also on
You're
Friday.
just not as bad as me. But then nobody is.
Also on Friday is Scunthorpe against Birmingham.
Oh, that's also
Scunthorpe
me,
That's
isn't
a
it?
tough one
versus Birmingham. That's obviously the
in the Championship. Yep.
yeah. They don't get easier, do they? That's up to you,
So it's me,
Chris.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Scunthorpe by 12.
Scunthorpe by 40. No, I'm not joking. Scunthorpe by 16.
I've gone Scunthorpe by 14.
All of a sudden, you two are more optimistic about Birmingham than I am. What's going on?
Okay.
It's got to be a turnaround somewhere.
Well, it needs to be pretty damn quick, doesn't it, really? Moving on then, staying on Friday, is Redcar against Oxford.
And that's up to me. Interesting.
It's a tough one to call, that is, isn't it?
I'm tempted to go draw again, you know. I'm going to say Oxford by 2.
I've gone exactly the same.
I'll go Oxford by 8.
Okay, and the last one on what's looking a very busy Friday is in the National League. That's Edinburgh against Berwick.
That's up to
Matt.
Matt, yeah.
I've gone Edinburgh by 12 on that.
I'll go Edinburgh by 8.
Edinburgh by 18.
Okay. Next up in the Championship is Berwick against Redcar.
And that's up to me, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Berwick by 10.
I'm going to say Redcar by 4.
I've gone Redcar by 10. Okay.
Get much different, could we?
No. And then on Sunday, it's Glasgow against Poole.
That's up to Mike.
That's going to be a good one to watch, that, I think.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for me to judge now because Paul looked unbeatable against us.
Yeah. Glasgow are a little bit better than Birmingham, unfortunately, aren't they? So
I'm going to give it Glasgow by 4.
I've gone Glasgow by 8.
I'll go Glasgow by 12.
Not much love for Poole in the studio, is there?
No.
What's new? Okay, next up on Monday in the Premiership, Peterborough against Wolves. Probably may well be our last visit to the showground.
That's up to you, Matt.
I'll go Wolves by 4. We don't usually do very well there, admittedly, but
I'll go Wolves by 2.
Have Peterborough actually won a home match this year?
yeah, 1-1.
1-1. Well, they're not winning this one, but it's going to be a draw.
Okay.
The odds are that you've got to get one.
Okay, next up is Bellevue against Sheffield.
That's up to me, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Bellevue
Good
by
mate. Good meeting.
Bellevue by 6.
Yep.
Bellevue by 8.
Bellevue by 4. I've gone 4. That'll be a good meeting, that will. Okay, staying in the Premiership, Leicester against Ipswich.
Another good one.
I think Ipswich need to win that one, really.
They do, but I don't think they're going to.
There's a lot of points up for grabs.
Leicester by 6.
I've gone Leicester by 6 as well.
I'll go Leicester by 10.
Okay. Next up is in the Championship, Plymouth against Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm. A very important match for us, for Birmingham.
Yep.
Up to you.
I've gone Plymouth by 4.
Plymouth by 8.
See, if we beat Plymouth, Plymouth beating Edinburgh would be a good result for us.
Yep.
But I'm going to say Plymouth by 4 as well, actually.
Okay. And lastly, we'll go for the World Cup. So what I've decided is the best way to do it. You get a point if you get the winner. If you get the top 3, you get 2 points. If you get the top 3 in the correct order, you get 3 points. So
We don't even know who's going to be in there yet, apart from GB.
Yeah, that's the fun thing. So
Okay, well, it's up to Chris first.
No, don't go to that. I don't even know who's in it.
Why don't you research this?
So no research. So give me a rundown of who to pick from.
GB,
Yep.
Australia,
Yep.
Sweden, Czech Republic. Well, Czechs are out, no, Czech Republic
Czech are
and Czech Republic are out, and Germany are out. So,
oh well, there's your top three.
so let's go there. So obviously Britain are in the final, Sweden in the race-off. Tomorrow you've got Finland, France, Denmark, and Australia.
Denmark,
and then you've got Poland waiting in the final.
Okay, I'll go. GB, Denmark, Australia.
Really?
Oh, that's a bit cool. I like the winner. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go that way.
Poland coming last.
They won't be happy with that.
No. Who's in the Polish team, by the way?
Well, you're gonna
Bartek Schmarzlik.
Yeah.
Hopefully, somebody not very good.
It'll be it'll be a very strong team anyway, won't it? So
They got the world champion for a starter.
yeah.
Doesn't mean anything.
Czechs are in the race-off. Sorry, I've just
Yeah. So
I'm
I'm going to say GB just because I can. Poland, Australia.
Okay, I've nearly gone the same as you, but I've gone for Poland to win it. GB second, Australia third.
So the one common denominator there is, well, two, isn't there?
Yeah.
GB and Australia all picked.
Yeah, and then those of us that know Speedway have picked Poland.
I think it's the most. I think it's certainly from a British point of view. I think it's probably the most positive World Cup we've had
Yeah.
going into since probably 2004.
Yeah.
When had Hans Andersen not decided to help the Swedes in the final, we would have had a great chance of winning that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember.
we got within a point of the Swedes, but 89 obviously was our last World Team Cup win.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that one was obviously tarnished because of the horrible crash, of course, that ended Eric Gunnarsson's career. But been a long time coming. So,
See, Poland have not announced their team yet, so I knew that. Obviously,
I think
what you know,
I think what Simon Corbett says is Marshalik, Dudek, Kolajci and Kubat are probably about right.
possibly Janowski as well.
Yeah. Right, shall we? There's lots of comments to catch up on. I saw coming through. So Brum won't be as bad
Yeah, we saw that one.
as you think, but because he continues, Rory's a solid guess. Batch and Seji should score a few. Steph rides Wimborne Road very well on his day, and Sam Hagan has raced there this season and scored decently. Well, we'll see. Czechs are still in.
Yep, of course.
Poland have not announced their team yet, and I think we've caught up. However,
yeah.
YouTube.
YouTube. I'm going to have a look at YouTube.
Yeah. Had you forgotten again?
There's a Martin Guest, Charles Wright and Tom Brennan, and Charles Wright fell out at Sheffield last week. They may have some bearings on Charles Wright not getting the pick for Team GB, says Martin Guest.
I think the squad was announced before that, wasn't it? I think so.
Oh. I do, like you say, I think he's unlucky, but it's all...
Yeah.
Batch is not guaranteed to score anywhere, says Rich Thomas. I think he's actually had a fairly... He was probably one of the better riders last week.
Last week, yeah.
You got the sense he was trying at the least.
The only thing I would say with Troy Batchelor is he's very good if he makes the start, but he's not 100% reliable, of course, battling his way through from the back when he's missed the start. But
he seems to be getting better. He looks good on the bike, doesn't he?
I have to say, I don't think the track was great last week as well. Don't want to use that as an excuse, but I thought he got a bit too dry towards the end of the meeting.
I got to be honest, but towards the end of the meeting, I gave up looking.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking. I didn't really notice what was going on with the track. I just wanted it to finish. Yeah, just wanted it to. Talking of which, we had a few new volunteers last week, and it did not make a difference.
Yeah.
We was finished by 11 o'clock last week.
Yep.
Best yet. So, yeah.
Still a long old day.
It is a long old day.
I think that is important to sort of point out as well, isn't it? That predominantly a lot of the people that you see working on the speed track do give up their free time. They're not paid
Not just
staff.
at Birmingham,
Not just everywhere as well.
yeah.
I know that. I mean, a lot of the staff that work at Perry Bar are also the same staff that work on Monday at Monmouth.
At
So
Monmouth Green, yeah.
Is that something that's always happened at
Yeah,
Speedway,
I
where
think so.
volunteers are,
I think so.
drafted in?
certainly in the last in the years I've been watching Speedway,
Yeah.
definitely. So, but I think that's always been the way. It's just generally people giving up their free time. A lot
For
of it
the,
through-
for the love of the
for the
sport.
love for the sport and for wanting to sort of say that I've been involved in helping my team. So
Yeah. It's great. It's
It
great.
happens in football as well, in lower leagues. and
voluntary,
stuff.
yeah.
I suppose so. Yeah, in a non-league way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there you go. Right, well, we've come to
the
10
end.
minutes to go.
Yeah.
We haven't come to the end.
Not quite.
The end is nigh. So when's the next the group of the Speedway World Cup?
The next one is tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
of course, and that is Finland, France, Denmark, and Australia. Of course, the race-off is on Friday. Obviously, Sweden and the Czechs are already in that one, so it'll be the second and third teams in tomorrow's match, and then obviously Poland and GB obviously waiting in the final.
Sometimes it's an advantage to get to that race off.
I think it is.
You
The
get-
race-off is all, and certainly when the World Cup was being staged before, the race-off was usually the meeting that everybody looked forward to the most from watching you. I can remember the first couple of years they had the World Cup when, for some reason or another, they decided to have 5 teams in it, which meant they had to have 5-man races. And it, certainly, I think actually it was at Roslav, which was too narrow, and there was quite a lot of bad crashes, especially in that first one. There was quite a few riders who, and this was in the days when they used to have the air fences down the straight as well, which was a big no-no. The number of riders who went wide got caught in the fence and just
Yeah,
flipped over. It just made it unsafe.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, Mark Ram was. I remember Mark Ram doing an interview before the meeting, that race off, because we were in it, and he was very, very scathing of the decision to have 5-man races in a World Team Cup event. It just didn't work. I know. I mean, obviously you've had sometimes meetings where you've had 6 riders in a race, haven't you, and things like that. And certainly in the
At the right track, but
Yeah.
also they wouldn't be right. They're not necessarily going to be. You can have 4 and 4. Then they're staggered a bit more.
well, obviously Ipswich used to have the 16 lapper,
16.
didn't they? So
Yeah, Ipswich isn't the biggest track in the world either.
no, that's it. So
But Peterborough Knockout Cup now August the 28th.
yeah, Duncan Pemberton says, "Hi guys, late to the party. You weren't the only one who was late."
No,
Yeah.
you weren't. Shall I rewind the show for you?
Craig Smith says, without volunteers and speedways, we simply wouldn't have Speedway. Most clubs have volunteers and they are massively appreciated by everyone. They simply don't get enough recognition. Do you know what? That's given me an idea. I'll talk to you guys about it afterwards.
That's unsung heroes, aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
people that they don't sort of do a lot that you see, but without those things happening, there wouldn't be much speed for us to enjoy.
Do many of these volunteers get any benefits at all? Or,
Well-
I mean, like a free pass or something to the...
We get to see the match for
to
nothing.
the yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously, I volunteer. I'm doing the red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to see the match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we have seen pictures of you working.
So sometimes I've seen him behind the red flag like that. So. Certainly last week he was doing that. So.
That is the worst match I've ever seen. No, second worst match I've ever seen as a Birmingham Speedway supporter. Now you all want to know what the worst one is.
Go on then.
It was the very last match at the old Perry Bar.
83.
Yep, against Cradley, our very last match,
Yeah.
and Cradley
Cradley
came
won.
and slaughtered us in
Yeah.
our last match. How dare that? That's totally spoiled the party.
Go on then, Matt.
Well, worst one I've seen.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Go on. Ever.
I've seen a few. Let me.
A match where you thought, I'm going to walk out. If you
Losing against Bellevue by 30 points at home was probably got to be
crikey.
right down about. I can't remember what year it was. It was about 97,
Yeah.
98, something like that.
Well,
Pretty depressing, especially with all the Bellevue fans standing around us, giving it large as well.
as they do.
Yeah,
As the poor supporters did last week.
Yeah.
Bless their cotton socks.
And you've got obviously the other Bellevue one, of course, was the championship decider in '93, but that was obviously they're only losing out on the title by 1 point.
Now you saying that, of course, that was a bad match for Birmingham when we finished top of the league, and then Paul did what Paul did, and beat us home and away, and it was.
I didn't know that actually. Craig Smees was put there. I know at Bellevue they give them a uniform, which is usually the polo shirt they sell in track shops, and have a volunteer year of the year award at their end of season ceremony.
That's a great idea. Yeah. That's a great idea. Yeah. And of course, you're advertising as well, aren't you? With you giving them the polo shirts and stuff. Lawrence.
Well, he's on tonight. So.
Lawrence did give us all a brand new Birmingham Speedway hat, by the way.
Apparently, he buys everybody breakfast as well. Right, on a Sunday.
Well, I think he makes it. I'm not sure he buys it.
Right, no.
Last time I saw Lawrence buy anything, I was still in my pushchair. Anyway.
I doubt that very much.
Stephen Morris should have pushed home in '93.
I think it might have been, might have been him. I can't remember whether it was him or John Wainwright. I know John Wainwright. Obviously, we had in those days you had two reserves, and one of those reserves races was a 5-0. I think John Wainwright did get up and actually pushed his bike home for a point, and unfortunately, one of the track staff got a bit too excited and helped him pick his bike up off the track, and of course that counted as outside interference, and of course he got excluded, and that was a point lost. A lot of things happened that night, which just you think back at it now and you just think, nah, the gods weren't on our side.
Can you take it up just a little bit? Lawrence says we've given them HSTS, and I've got to go and see the doctor about that next week.
He says behave, Michael Harris.
That sounds like childbirth or something.
I think he means hats. And Rich Thomas says Swindon's worst meeting, losing at Monmouth, even though we had Chris Morton and Neil Evitts reserve.
I don't think it was ever Chris Morton's favourite track, and to be fair, I mean Neil Evitts obviously had a couple of spells with Wolves, but.
I think that's something maybe we can do next week, is your worst ever meeting.
Have we got a random fact this week, by the way?
I'm sorry, I haven't. No, I haven't. No.
For goodness sake.
No.
It's all gone to pot this week, isn't it?
Well, you were late and it spoilt everything.
Well,
so I'm blaming you.
Hey. I get blamed for everything. It's okay, I'm used to it. Right, well, we seem to have come to a natural end, so I think good luck to everybody next week.
Yep.
Particularly Team GB.
Yep.
I'm a little bit excited about that, by the way.
It's the best chance we're going to have for a long time.
I actually feel we have a chance against
certainly getting a medal.
Poles.
Yeah, certainly getting a medal.
When you think that 3 of our team are Grand Prix riders.
Yeah, Dan Bewley and Ty Woofington obviously ride that track every week. So
I mean, it just gives you a sort of tingly feeling inside.
Yeah.
But enough about that HSTS.
Bear in mind, of course, you've got to wait until we see who the other teams in the final as well are, so it's not just going to be a GBV.
Oh dear. And Duncan Pemberton says his worst ever meeting the ex-wife. I can relate to that. Well,
you don't know it yet. Oh dear.
Yeah, and on that
bombshell.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just say before we go, the podcast that comes out tomorrow, can people just click on it? Because even if you click on it, and we get the likes and so forth, and the it helps to push it up in various charts. And if people see it in various charts, it just helps promote our show and Speedway. So,
of course.
Yeah, so.
And I have to say once again, thank you to all you guys. I mean, 16,000.
Oh, that's crazy. 16,700 last
Unbelievable.
week. Yeah. That was
unbelievable.
That was good. Obviously come to see me, but you know.
I think we better go now.
I think that's probably spoiled it for everyone, isn't it? That one.
Okay, well, thanks everybody once again. Enjoy your Speedway this week. Come on to GB, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Bye-bye.